So we were talking about the important role of the institution that is Bureau of Police Research and Development, and also the role of CERTIN, which is Computer Emergency Response Team of India, in terms of dealing with the cyber crimes. And yesterday we also talked about the different types of cyber crimes which are there. We talked about phishing, vishing, and swishing, and then there was one was related to the QR code. So, Prerna, what was the name of that the term for the QR code, if you remember? It was starting with Q, I think. Exact, I'm not able.
Yes, Manjiti, I don't remember.
Okay, ठीक है. We'll look into it.
Manjiti, it was squishing.
Okay.
Squishing.
Wishing.
Smishing was for messages and wishing was for phone calls.
Yes. So the TOPS scheme, one is again, TOPS is for the regulating the food prices in tomato, onion, and potato. And here the TOPS is for the target Olympic podium scheme, like having more number of gold medals. So here transformative measures have been implemented. So all possible support to the athletes is being ensured under it for the 2028 Summer Olympics, what would be there in Los Angeles, LA. 2028 Summer Olympics. So today we are not waiting for youth to come to sports. We are taking sports to the youth. So sports, it is not just, related to only your health or the mental health or your physical health, but it presents huge economic opportunity. The economic advantages be associated with the sports. जो पूरा ecosystem की बात करते हैं, it is also generating, we can say, the secondary jobs which it creates in terms of, again, if we are promoting more sports people, the sports person, they are participating, they are coming forward. तो जो स्पोर्ट्स इक्विपमेंट है, अगेन हमें उसका नंबर भी इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा, तो उनकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी इंक्रीज होगी. तो एक तो ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटी और वहाँ पे जो रिस्पेक्टिव जॉब्स क्रिएट होंगी, so that is important. और जो directly you talk about construction of the sports infrastructure, so there also more jobs would be created. And apart from this, ज़्यादा sports event create होंगे, तो वहाँ से we can say more jobs would be created and जो economic scenario बनेगा. And we also see कि how sports, they are also one of the important avenues as a marketing strategy at the same time. So also it is important that we are promoting sports as a part of the national education policy, also the new education policy 2020 in schools and colleges also for career progression. So this is one, we can say, the mindset shift which is happening in terms of taking sports as a career. Now यहाँ पे ये जो अब देख रहे हो headline, judges who delivered the Ram Janmabhoomi verdict, they also get the invitation. So यहाँ पे we can talk about the ethical dilemma is that talk about the judiciary in India is independent. So it is somewhere we can talk about कि partisanal interest नहीं reflect होने चाहिए. It needs to be ensured कि the judges, they are objective and they remain independent. क्योंकि if we'll be seeing that this whole event, in a way we are seeing, we associate this with the political party BJP, which is the ruling political party in the union. So if those specific judges, why only those specific judges? या तो आप पूरा जो पूरी judges community आप उनको invite करो, तो only those specific judges being invited, so that raises some concerns, we can say. So Ram Temple Prasad, Amazon gets the notice, Central Consumer Protection Authority. So this is under the Union Ministry of Consumer Affairs. तो Amazon को notices भेजे हैं for selling sweets on the website under the name Shri Ram Mandir Ayodhya Prasad. तो this cannot be done, claiming to be the prasada of Ayodhya Ram temple, which is again, actually it is not. तो अपने कमर्शियल बेनिफिट्स के लिए हाउ यू आर अगेन स्प्रेडिंग मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन, जो लोगों का बिलीफ है, आप उसको मिसयूज करके अपने कमर्शियल इंटरेस्ट को प्रमोट कर रहे हो, सो दैट यू आर एबल टू हैव एंड रिकॉर्ड अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ प्रॉफिट. So enabling the sale of food products online that make false representation misleads the consumers regarding the genuine characteristics of the product. This is an offense. So important fact is Central Consumer Protection Authority is under the Indian Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So here we can take only the factual information, the Vaishnavite Monastery in Assam's Majuli. So Shri Onyati Satra, it was established in 1663 in Majuli district in Assam. So it is an important part of the country's wonderfully diverse cultural and religious history. And Baona, this is a traditional art form. This is again photos of the artist wearing famed Majuli masks and tried out a mask of Lord Hanuman, complete with the Gadha in hand. So we can just remember Bauna is a traditional art form practiced in Assam, and then the Vaishnavite Monastery in Assam's Majuli district. So again the GI tag for the Assamese traditional scarf जो है जिसको हम Gamosa बोलते हैं. So that is also Gamosa is from Assam GI tag product. So the president of France is the chief guest for the Republic Day celebrations, and Emmanuel Macron, the itinerary from the French president who will be the chief guest of Republic Day. So we can talk about the relationship between India and France. So in case of defense sector, the first one which we could talk about is the Rafale fighter planes, Rafale jets. Even when we talk about the promotion of digital public infrastructure of India in France, that is UPI digital payments to be accepted in France. So this is can talk about, and this is again an important step even for internationalization of rupee at the same time. So ease of making payments internationally is being promoted through these steps. Even in Singapore, we see that the UPI, you can use UPI in Singapore to make payments. So we share strategic ties, maritime security, Indo-Pacific strategy, India-France relationship is important, climate change, green transitions. So space agencies. So space sector is also one of the areas of cooperation. So we're focusing upon border area, like here the role of BRO, Border Roads Organization is important, which is under the Ministry of Defense. So the Union Defense Minister inaugurates 35 projects in the border areas, and one of the important schemes is the Vibrant Village programs, where we are developing the villages. So we see the border villages to be the first villages of India, not the last villages. So this is one thing, and how we are again promoting rural tourism at the same time, so that again we are also able to stop the distress migration from these border villages. So creation of job opportunities there as again one of the focus areas. Great Indian Bustard. This is again the state bird of the state of Rajasthan. So how do you plan to save the Great Indian Bustard? Supreme Court asked the government. So it is critically endangered, the IUCN status, and it is on the, you can say, the verge of extinction because of the collision with the high transmission to power lines वहाँ पे installed होती हैं. तो with the collision, these birds they die because of electrocution in areas of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So we're not having a proper plan in order to preserve the current numbers of the birds and maintaining a balance between preservation of the bird species and India's global commitment to shed its carbon footprints. So court has asked the government about कि इन दो areas में आपके plan क्या हैं. So instead of the normal जो electricity grid lines जो वहाँ से उन regions में से pass हो रही है, we talked about solution क्या है. तो one which say कि you can go for undergrounding those wires, and secondly installation of renewable energy so that again lesser amount of dependence is there on those electricity grids, because solar power again rooftop solar panels install किए जाएंगे तो the each individual household will be self reliant. आपको मेन इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ग्रिड के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट नहीं होना पड़ेगा. And again, this would be also aiding to the target of shedding the carbon footprint at the same time. So balance is important. An important fact is that critically endangered Great Indian Bustard. So in talking about the standards, the new drugs or the evolving new drugs. So here the generic medicine industry of India is important, as we have the again target of being the world's largest generic drug manufacturer. So the Nobel laureate Davis Julius says understanding body's perception of pain, कि how our body perceives, क्या perception है if we are going through a disease. So हमारी body का क्या immunity system response होता है, how does the body reacts to that particular disease and a pathogen which causes that disease, उसको समझेंगे तो then it is important for the development of the new discoveries which are happening in the pharma sector. So when we want something but fail to get it, we are pained. But our sorrow is greater if we live where the person who got what we desired lives. So ये मतलब यही बोलने की बात हो रही कि अगर हमें कुछ चाहिए and we fail to get it, so we have that pain. But if you're living with a person जो हमारा टारगेट था and the person has already achieved that, तो वो हमारा जो sorrow जो grief है वो और ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है. So when exile was better, so it is better not to stay with the person individually. आप अपने target पे और अच्छे से focus कर पाओगे even if you are failing. So individually your willpower and your determination becomes important. North Korea test underwater nuclear weapon system. So North Korea tested underwater nuclear weapon system. And talking about also जो previously उन्होंने test किए about the intercontinental ballistic missiles, like it can reach another continent. So that is also equally dangerous. And counter to this, जो response रहा बाकी countries का like USA and South Korea and Japan. So they had conducted a naval exercise. So it also involved US nuclear powered aircraft carrier. So joint drills were seriously threatening the security of the northern hemisphere. So response with the name of the system, this nuclear weapon system is HALE 523 system. So de-escalate, हम बात कर रहे हैं अभी recent attacks between Pakistan and Iran. So both the stakeholders, they agree to de-escalate the situation after the air strikes. So this is again an example of the wider spillover effect of Israel-Hamas war. So here we're seeing drone attacks in Russia's Khalsi region, so which is important for again, which was an oil depot. So इसकी वजह से we would again see that crude oil prices would again become more volatile. They would again rise up because such attacks, and already because of the geopolitical challenges, we are already facing this challenge. So crude oil is becoming a major challenge, and counter to this, we talk about the rising significance. Equally significant होता है the creation of and finding an alternative, reliable, can say, source of energy, source of fuel. So we talked about air travel recovery. What are the focus areas? क्या challenges हैं? Recently, we talk about from the perspective of security of the civil aviation, BCAS, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. And Boeing, we talked about the Boeing facility, which would be inaugurated in India, which is again, US is one of the largest investments outside USA as far as Boeing manufacturing is concerned. So TASL, Tata Advanced Systems Limited. So there is a joint venture between the Tata Group and the Boeing commercial airplanes to manufacture and supply the advanced composite assemblies for Boeing 737 MAX and these different types of planes. So sustainable aviation fuel के भी जब हम बात करते हैं, this is also important क्योंकि जो major part even जो air tickets का major proportion होता है जो fluctuate भी करता है, उसमें I think it is close to 40 to 60% जो वेटेज है वो एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल के प्राइसेस के ऊपर डिपेंड करती है. सो दैट इज वाई लुकिंग इन फाइंडिंग फॉर अ सस्टेनेबल एविएशन फ्यूल इज ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. एंड सेकेंडली, एज वी हैव द अगेन द टारगेट ऑफ द carbon neutrality by 2070. So that is important from the perspective of climate change. Sustainable, indigenous, sustainable aviation fuel. So CSI का रोल इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है. Council for Scientific Industrial Research and Development, Indian Institute of Petroleum. So they are working on this indigenous technology. So the new HEFA technology using locally sourced feedstocks. So जब हम बायोफ्यूल्स की बात करते हैं तो वहाँ पे भी हमने बात करी थी the different generations of the biofuels which are there. So HEFA जो है technology, it refines vegetable oils, waste oil or fats into the sustainable aviation fuel through a process that uses hydrogenation. So इसके through we can also talk about creation of the circular economy also, कि जो wasted food grains हैं उसके through how we'll be able to create the sustainable aviation fuel. Shifting sands. So this is also one of the sports and talking about the biking races in the desert region. So Dakar Rally 2024. So Dakar जो है, it is a type of off-road endurance competition, tougher terrains में, and then in the जो conventionally rallying होता है तो it's much more difficult. तो यहाँ से we can just take away कि Dakar is also one of the biking sports which is done in deserts and sandy conditions. So जब हम बात करते हैं 4S की, तो sun, sand, sea and software, and with that we are also seeing the fifth S is the sports. So we can use this at relevant places in our answers. Taking up Indian Express. So one nation, one election, यहाँ बात करें simultaneous elections की. So यहाँ पे प्रेरणा मेरे को कुछ पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स बताओ साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शंस के. पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स क्या हो सकते हैं?
मानसी जी के तो रेगुलरली नहीं, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और जैसे पोलिंग वगैरह के लिए एम्प्लॉयमेंट होती है सबकी, मतलब ड्यूटी पे लगते हैं, वो चीज़ नहीं होएगी।
हाँ मतलब
कॉस्ट रिडक्शन होएगा कि
हाँ,
एक बार में हो जाएगा।
एक्सपेंडिचर सेव कर पाएंगे, और जो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस डिप्लॉय करते हैं विच आर मोर एंगेज्ड इन ड्यूरिंग द इलेक्शंस आल्सो, सो दे वुड बी आल्सो
हम्म,
एबल टू फोकस अपॉन द कोर एरियाज ऑफ एक्चुअली इंश्योरिंग द सिक्योरिटी।
हम्म।
ठीक है, दो मेन रीजन हो गए, और कुछ सचिन आपको ऐड करना है?
कॉस्ट रिडक्शन है, एंड बेसिकली जनता के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से वो रिलेट कर पाएगी कि उसे क्या डिसीजन लेना है, सेंटर को लेके या स्टेट को लेके।
ठीक है, एक नेगेटिव, अगर हम नेगेटिव की बात करते हैं तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के हिसाब से ही, जैसे ईवीएम्स की बात करते हैं तो उनका लाइफ टाइम होता है 15 ईयर्स, तो मतलब हर 5 साल में इलेक्शंस होंगे अंडर साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शंस, तो मतलब कि कंपेयरिंग द कॉस्ट टू बेनिफिट रेशियो वो ज्यादा होगा, बिकॉज अब मतलब 15 साल में उनको 3 बार यूज कर पाओगे, प्लस उनको कॉस्ट ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बहुत ज्यादा होता है। सो दिस इज वन चैलेंज। एंड देन अनदर चैलेंज इज की सिंस अगर सपोज देर इज प्री मेच्योरली कोई हाउस डिसॉल्व हो जाता है एंड द गवर्नमेंट लूजेज द कॉन्फिडेंस, तो कैसे इस सिस्टम को हम आगे कंटिन्यू कर पाएंगे? सो उसके लिए डू वी हैव द सॉल्यूशन एंड ऑल्टरनेटिव कि विल बी एबल टू कंटिन्यू विद द सेम सिस्टम और नॉट? एंड ऑल्सो एक और इशू ये है कि देन जो नेशनल इश्यूज हैं वो ज्यादा प्रोमिनेंट और इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाएंगे रादर देन द लोकल इश्यूज। एंड ऑल्सो जब हम बात करते हैं फ्रीक्वेंट जो इलेक्शंस होते हैं, इवन जो भी करंट सिस्टम है उसमें अकाउंटेबिलिटी ऑफ आर पॉलिटिकल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर्स। सो वो भी थोड़ा कहीं ना कहीं बोल सकते हैं कि डाइल्यूट हो सकती है अंडर द साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शंस। सो इंटेलिजेंट ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम प्रोजेक्ट लार्ज स्केल अंडरटेकिंग है, एंड अभी रिसेंटली 22 जनवरी को विल बी सीइंग द इनॉग्रेशन ऑफ द राम टेम्पल। सो एक ही हम ले सकते हैं ऐसे कीवर्ड इंटेलिजेंट ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम। तो हाउ इंटेलिजेंट विल बी अगेन यूजिंग द ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी और जो बाकी क्रिटिकल टेक्नोलॉजी इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्लानिंग द मूवमेंट ऑफ ट्रैफिक ऑल्सो। सो दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट, एंड अगेन ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट है स्मार्ट सिटीज का भी। So world's largest solar powered street lights would be there in Ayodhya. World's largest. 470 solar street lights spanning substantial 10-kilometer stretch. Guinness Book of World Records. And electric buses on the Rampath and the Dharmapath. So we are seeing again the developments, even connectivity projects, specifically जब हम बात करते the state of Uttar Pradesh, and अभी जो एग्जांपल देखा हमने सोलर पावर्ड स्ट्रीट लाइट्स का, सो दिस इज ऑल्सो कहीं ना कहीं जो गवर्नमेंट रिसोर्सेज के ऊपर भी प्रेशर है वो भी इसके थ्रू रिड्यूस होगा, बिकॉज दी विल बी सेल्फ ऑपरेटिंग स्ट्रीट लाइट्स, ये सोलर लाइट के थ्रू खुद ही ऑपरेट करेंगी। एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस जो हम बात करते हैं इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएशन, एक्सप्रेसवेज एंड हाईवेज, उन पे एम्फेसाइज किया जा रहा है द रोल ऑफ एमएसएमईज एंड फोकसिंग अपॉन देयर financial needs, that is being focused upon. And again, state of Uttar Pradesh is also important for the perspective of promoting pilgrimage tourism. Again, जिसका भी बहुत बड़ा एग्जाम्पल बोल सकते हैं, राम टेम्पल वुड बी देयर, और जो सराउंडिंग इकोसिस्टम है, जो बाकी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट होगा विद द टूरिज्म इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट।
और सो मानसी जी, इसमें हम दो कीवर्ड्स बोल सकते हैं कि विकास और विरासत, यानी डेवलपमेंट भी करनी है और अपना जो कल्चर हेरिटेज है उसको प्रमोट करना है।
यस। सो है अगेन जो हम बात करते हैं रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर की, एंड द सेफ्टी ऑफ द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, क्वालिटी ऑफ मटेरियल विच इज यूज्ड। सो द Chintals society in Gurugram, we saw that the one of, we can say, the roofs, it started to collapse and that entire building collapsed. So chlorides has been found in the concrete. So from the perspective of science, we can say chlorides in the structure, it will lead to further deterioration. So chloride makes the structure or jo concrete hai, it becomes it is considered to be of poor quality. So even repair or rehabilitation करने के बाद भी we can say कि situation cannot be kept normal. So such as we can say high risky is the situation, high chloride content in concrete throughout the structure. So इसके वजह से जो risk of corrosion है वो increase हो जाता है. उसकी वजह से can say कि यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो कि collapsed portion, तो collapse के chances ज़्यादा increase हो जाते हैं. But at the same time, chloride content beyond a prescribed limit, मतलब certain amount of chloride important भी है, but again वो जो limit है, अगर उसके beyond उसको add किया जाएगा, तो then it becomes detrimental and risky. तो यहाँ simultaneous elections की बात हो रही है. So it is believed कि it is जो opposition की हम बात करते हैं, role of opposition in democracy. So they are highlighting certain points, negative points and challenges that can emanate because of the simultaneous elections. So one is they believe कि it would be disturbing or disbalancing the federal structure. Apart from this, so it says that by way of savings and financial and human resources have long been recognized. Advantages जो होगा एक simultaneous election का, and with the imposition of the model code of conduct during elections, development work is halted and official work is also halted. So Law Commission and Niti Aayog, they have cited these possible benefits if we implement the simultaneous elections कि जो developmental work है that can also be timely completed and जो cost overrun का challenge होता है वो emanate नहीं होगा. So we'll be also able to save on the expenses. वीवीपैट की हम बात करते हैं, वोटर वेरीफाइबल पेपर ऑडिट ट्रेल. So these the machines जो EVM से connected होती हैं and there is a slip which is generated जब आप vote करते हो in order to look at that कि आपने जिस contesting party political candidate को vote किया है उन्हीं को vote गया है कि नहीं. तो you get the symbol and the logo also on that slip and then that drops within that box. So नीति आयोग कमिटी जो है it should set, उन्होंने बोला should not have referred to it in the first place. The जो report है the committee should have applied its own mind and made its own recommendations. The Constitution nowhere authorizes the Union government to dissolve the state assemblies or to suspend the state governments except under the emergency clauses. So जब हम state emergency की बात करते हैं Article 356 which is also called the President's Rule. So apart from ये जो provision है जो बोलता है कि Union government dissolve कर सकता है given there is an emergency condition, otherwise the power is not in the hands of Union government according to the Constitution. So it is also believed that government committee should have been honest in stating the outset what they are attempting goes against the basic structure of the constitution also. So ये भी एक concern है कि एक तो हमने बोला कि it would create disbalance in the federal structure and federal structure India का part of the basic structure भी है of the constitution, तो कहीं ना कहीं उस doctrine का violation भी हो सकता है. तो कुछ concerns जो opposition ने raise करे. So an IS officer allegedly demanding money from the capital's liquor vendors. So Directorate of Vigilance Institution Authority found him guilty of allegedly pressurizing a subordinate officer into collecting the money from retail liquor vendors. So this is the new idol of Ram temple, which would be installed in the Sanctum Sanctorius, the main Garbhagriha of the Ram temple. So only QR coded pass holders to witness the Pran Pratishtha. So you can see how in terms of pilgrimage tourism also, the importance of technology, how it is increasing, the ease of tourism. QR coded आपके पास passes होंगे तो वो quickly scan भी हो सकते हैं and that would allow you the entry also. So इसके through आप number of tourist को भी manage कर सकते हो. Plus you can also manage the security at the same time. So this is in the positive impact of technology and even an example of good governance at the same time. So Chandrayaan 3's lander, which is called Vikram, and it is now a landmark on the moon. So NASA spacecraft receives the reflected laser beams sent to the LRA on Vikram. NASA's laser retro reflector array on Vikram lander. So this is the image of that reflector. So this lander Vikram is now firmly established as a landmark on the moon. तो as a landmark ये इसको वहीं पे fix कर दिया गया with the help of NASA. So LRO is Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. So it has been going around, उसके around में revolve कर रहा है moon के around since 2009 and it has performed the laser beam experiment last year. और जो हम upcoming missions की बात कर सकते हैं ISRO की, तो गगनयान mission which is going to be a human space flight. So for that again we are also taking the help specifically in terms of training the human personals from Russia.
मानसी दी, इसमें हम स्पेस की पोल्यूशन की बात नहीं कर सकते? मतलब अगर ऐसे हर कंट्री कुछ ना कुछ
पॉल्यूशन इन द सेंस ऑफ स्पेस डेब्रिस जो क्रिएट हो रहा है, तो इवन अकाउंटेबिलिटी भी आप कैसे इंश्योर करोगे कि जो डेब्रिस क्रिएट हुआ उसको कैसे सेफली रिमूव करोगे, एंड जो आने वाले फ्यूचर मिशंस है इवन फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज ऑल्सो, तो वो कितना सस्टेनेबल होने वाले हैं. तो ये इन एरियाज की बिल्कुल बात कर सकते हैं. एंड ऑल्सो वी टॉक अबाउट कि जो स्पेस है वो एक ग्लोबल कॉमन है, तो मिलिटराइजेशन ऑफ स्पेस भी नहीं होना चाहिए. तो ये भी एक ग्रोइंग कंसर्न है. लाइक यूएसए में दे हैव अ डेडिकेटेड वी कैन से उन्होंने क्रिएट किया है ऐसा लाइक मिलिटराइजेशन ऑफ स्पेस के लिए. सो नॉट गेटिंग द नेम एग्जैक्टली क्या है. सो दीज आर द कंसर्न्स. सो मिक्स्ड कंटेंजेंट की हमने कल बात करी थी. दैट विल बी द फर्स्ट टाइम this year or during the Republic Day celebration. So that is reflecting women empowerment, women-led development, Viksit Bharat and mother of democracy India को बोलते हैं. Rich cultural heritage है. Maximum women participation would be there at this time. Rafale jets in fly past on Republic Day. तो हम बात कर रहे थे India France relationship की, तो Rafale jets would also be part of the fly past जो होगा. 100 women artists playing Indian musical instruments like Shank, Nadswaram, Nagara, marking a shift from the past when this was done by military bands. So you can see in different forms how women they are coming, leadership roles coming to the front. Jan Bhagidari, Kartavya Path, 77,000 of which 42,000 is reserved for general public. So around 77,000 people would be witness to the Republic Day parade. Worldly wise, there is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law. So यहाँ पे क्या बोलोगे आप, इसको कैसे इंटरप्रेट करोगे? no grievance that is a fit object of redress by a mob law. मॉबोक्रेसी की बात हो रही है यहाँ, जो मॉब अपने हाथों में खुद लॉ ले लेता है, या वो कोई भी मतलब कोई भी ग्रीवेंस हो, ये जस्टिफाइड तरीका नहीं है ऑफ सर्विंग जस्टिस और रिजॉल्विंग दैट ग्रीवेंस और रिड्रेसिंग दैट ग्रीवेंस. सो हमने बात करी थी कि rather than force, understanding the reason, that is one of the ways through which peace can be established. Mob ka law is not a part of the constitution, so that is not, you can say it goes ultra vires the constitution. So rather than mob law, constitutional law, that should be upheld, and that can happen again through the role of judiciary becomes important. The role of police administration, investigation, forensics, their role is very important. और कुछ ऐड करना है यहाँ पे?
नो मानसी जी.
वीट टेस्ट. सो हम बात कर चुके हैं यहाँ पे. अगर हम बात करें स्पेसिफिकली वीट की, कीपिंग इंपोर्ट विंडो ओपन विदाउट रिजॉर्टिंग टू एक्सपोर्ट, स्टॉकिंग कंट्रोल्स इज व्हाट्स रिक्वायर्ड इन ऑल एग्रीकल्चरल कमोडिटीज. सो वीट स्टॉक्स जो है सरप्लस फूड ग्रेन हम मेंटेन करते हैं, वीट का, राइसेस का, विच इज अगेन फूड कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया का इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है. सो 7-year लो पे, ऑल दो जो करंट स्टॉक है वीट का गवर्नमेंट में राइट नाउ, मिनिमम बफर होना चाहिए 13.8 मिलियन टन टू मीट ऑपरेशनल रिक्वायरमेंट जो पीडी सिस्टम है, प्लस एक स्ट्रैटेजिक रिजर्व भी होना चाहिए हमारे पास. तो दोनों को कंबाइन करके 13.8 मिलियन टन ऑफ सरप्लस मिनिमम बफर हमारे पास होना चाहिए वीट का, विच इज स्ट्रैटेजिक रिजर्व. क्यों, किस लिए? सपोज अगर कोई सप्लाई डिस्ट्रप्शन फ्यूचर में होता है, कोई वॉर हो जाता है, कोई ऐसा नेचुरल डिजास्टर हो जाता है, सो टू मेंटेन stability of the food prices, and sufficient rice stocks are there which can more than compensate अगर कोई ऐसा shortfall होता है even in the wheat. So जो wheat price या हम बोले कि cereal prices inflation जो होता है उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए बफर स्टॉक इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो सीरियल एंड जो ओवरऑल रिटेल फूड इन्फ्लेशन है उसको कंटेन करने के लिए बफर स्टॉक इज इंपॉर्टेंट. बैनिंग वीट एंड नॉन बासमती वाइट राइस एक्सपोर्ट्स. सो दिस इज रिसेंटली जो इंडिया ने यू हैव टेकन दिस डिसीजन अगेन, जो भी इट हैज बिकम अ डिस्प्यूट इवन एट WTO also. Pulses or edible oil, maybe we are talking about creating self-sufficiency, so edible oils mission is also there. Pulses में हमने बात करी, recently government started the procurement of the pulses also at the MSP price, again to create more buffer stock because of the rising prices of the pulses. So more organized. और कैसे हम बात कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे कि cold storages का कंस्ट्रक्शन इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है in order to maintain a smooth supply chain within India also as far as the cereals is concerned. Capital expenditure by the state has been increasing. यहाँ हमने बात करी थी crowding out effect की, how कि अब again private sector needs to take the lead and सारा burden again public sector के ऊपर नहीं हो सकता when it comes to the investment, specifically capital expenditure में. तो equally important is the investment on the part of private sector. और overall हमने बात करी थी कि इंडिया में जो investment rate है even that has been declining somewhere around I think it was close to 30%. सो यहाँ डिफरेंट, अगर हम हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी इंडिकेटर्स की बात करते हैं इकोनॉमिकली, तो फिस्कल डेफिसिट, कंबाइंड फिस्कल डेफिसिट की हमने बात करी. डेट टू जीडीपी रेशियो इज वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट इंडिकेटर्स. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस अगर हम यहाँ बात करते हैं फिस्कल डेफिसिट की भी सिंपली हम बात कर सकते हैं, रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट की बात कर सकते हैं. एंड tepid growth in overall revenue receipts has meant that states have had to resort more to the market borrowings for the funding their expenditure this year. तो ये भी एक rising concern है specifically to the state, जो states का खुद का tax revenues है और जो non tax revenues से जो trend है that has been fairly buoyant है. fairly buoyant मतलब कि टैक्स रेट में ज़्यादा चेंज नहीं करना पड़ा या कुछ भी चेंज नहीं करना पड़ा टैक्स रेट में, बट टैक्स रेवेन्यू स्टिल इंक्रीज हुआ, तो वो हम टैक्स बायंसी, दैट्स हाउ वी डिफाइन इट. सो स्टेट्स आर डिमांडिंग की और फाइनेंशियल